Chucky has gotten away with almost everything in the past 40 years. I mean, yes, even as the Lakeshore Strangler, the consequences Charles Lee Ray suffered for his killing sprees were not even bare minimum. Still, Chucky has had many more advantages as a children's toy. Apart from the obvious irony of a serial killer's soul being stuck inside a good guy doll, Chucky's powers were never his own to begin with. His supernatural abilities were actually drawn from a Haitian deity named Damballa. Without him, Charles Lee Ray could never go on to form his own legacy as a serial killer doll. Even Chucky fears incurring the wrath of this voodoo god, because let's just face it, without Damballa's supernatural hijinks, Chucky would have been nothing more than a plastic doll. So who is Damballa? Without wasting another moment, let's get right to it. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is the importance of Damballa in the Chucky franchise? So, Damballa's existence is actually rooted within Haitian folklore. He's considered to be the main creator of all life forms and one of the most important spirits within the voodoo world. But we'll come to his mythical source later. In the Child's Play franchise, Damballa is a Haitian Loa voodoo deity worshipped by Chucky. Every time the psychotic doll needs to level up his supernatural antics, using an arcane voodoo chant, he calls upon Damballa to aid him with his menacing schemes. At every important moment within the Chucky lore, Damballa proved to be of immense help for the doll, who has used his Heart of Damballa amulet to summon the voodoo deity. Right from the first 1988 Child's Play film, after Charles Lee Ray was fatally shot by Detective Mike Norris, he runs to take refuge inside a toy store. Having no way out, he uses his Heart of Damballa amulet for the first time to transfer his soul into a good guy doll and avoid his imminent death. But of course, nothing is that easy. Turns out the spell had its own flaws, as Chucky is slowly becoming human, bleeding and all. He had the risk of being permanently trapped inside the doll's body if he stayed in it for too long. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, have given us many hints that Damballa is not entirely evil. While Chucky manipulates the power of the Loa Damballa only for nefarious purposes, it's worth noting that John Bishop, a staunch believer in voodoo and Chucky's former master, considered Chucky's deeds as an act of abomination. He believed Chucky was misusing the power of Damballa and voodoo to further his murderous tendencies, and Chucky's interpretation of Damballa worship, which, if you think, is rather fitting for a serial killer like him. Through his reign, Chucky has mostly summoned Damballa to help him jump from one doll body to another, but the voodoo deity has also shown to harbor the power to resurrect his worshippers. For instance, in The Bride of Chucky, Tiffany calls upon Damballa using a spell from the book Voodoo for Dummies to revive Chucky. Again, in Seed of Chucky, animatronic versions of Chucky and Tiffany are brought back to life by Glenn using the Heart of Damballa amulet. Tiffany then uses this amulet to transfer her soul into the body of her favorite actress, Jennifer Tilly, while also moving Glenn and Glenda's souls into the bodies of Jennifer's twin babies. Later, in the Cult of Chucky, when Chucky discovers a new spell on the website voodooForDummies.com, it allows him to split his soul into multiple parts and transfer them into various vessels, while still retaining control of his original body. Tiffany also used the same spell to repossess her doll body or possess other Wedding Bell dolls. According to Kyle, this spell specifically worked for transferring their souls into identical vessels like Good Guy dolls or Wedding Bell dolls. However, with the help of Damballa, Chucky did manage to transfer his soul into two humans, Alice and Nika. Despite Nika being paraplegic, Chucky gained the ability to walk and move while being inside her body, using the supernatural powers given to him by Damballa. However, there was a flaw in the spell. Both Nika and Chucky's souls shared the same body, so every time Nika's body experienced physical trauma or saw blood, Nika regained control and became paraplegic again. I think the real extent of Damballa's powers was seen in the first season of the Chucky TV show, where Chucky discovered a new spell that enabled him to possess a legion of 72 good guy dolls all at once. To enact the spell, all he needed to do was corrupt an innocent child and persuade them to commit murder on his behalf. Although his initial attempt with Jake Wheeler failed, Chucky did manage to manipulate Jake's cousin, Junior, into killing his father, Logan. As soon as Junior started attacking Logan, the 72 good guy dolls had come to life, allowing Chucky to have his own psychotic doll army. I'm sure the book Voodoo for Dummies that Chucky and Tiffany so obsessively used throughout the franchise has more spells that would give us a hint of Damballa's powers. Maybe some would even bring some good. But we all know that both Chucky and Tiffany are self-serving narcissists, so of course they only utilized spells that served their agendas. How does Damballa make his presence known in the Chucky franchise? Damballa's presence has been depicted in various Child's Play films as a colossal storm cloud, although Chucky has only managed to invoke the deity successfully for once through his prayer. One of Damballa's typical manifestations includes turbulent storm clouds and fierce lightning, capable of causing significant destruction, like the time the toy store was annihilated by lightning right after Chucky's transformation was complete. In mythology, Damballa is either the creator of the universe or the first spirit created by the real creator. Usually these stories portray Damballa as a humongous white serpent who created the earth with curves of his coils and made the oceans by shedding his skin. Which is why many Chucky enthusiasts keep debating that the storm clouds that gather when Chucky invokes Damballa are actually a nod to the spirit's connection with water. Although most people don't think too hard about it, and believe that the entire idea of thunderbolt and lightning is very frightening, fitting right into the film for spooky and cool visual effects. But regardless of what it really is, these clouds don't define the real Damballa's character in Voodoo beliefs, where he's seen as an ancient, calm, and generally relaxed guy with a fondness for eggs and flour, instead of what Chucky offers him in a sacrifice. Without Damballa, Chucky is just a plastic body. Season 3 of the Chucky TV series really showed us how fragile Chucky is without Damballa's powers backing him up. The voodoo deity surely isn't at the killer doll's beck and call, no matter how many times he goes on to chant, Ade Due Damballa. Right from the beginning of the season, we saw Chucky fall out of Damballa's good graces. This became apparent through Chucky's rapid aging as his hair started falling off, face wrinkled, and body withered. After visiting a voodoo doctor, he found out that Damballa has forsaken Chucky for indulging in Christian magic. Well, of course, Chucky didn't choose to go Catholic, but Christian magic did taint his soul during a botched exorcism performed on his body at the end of Season 2, which in turn resulted in Damballa abandoning him. Briefly, Chucky does see light at the end of the tunnel after Dr. Rosen does his research to inform him of a very old ritual from the Crusades that might just help him win back Damballa's favor. This needed Chucky to commit 6 sacrificial murders in really evil houses, and that's exactly what he did. In fact, even after crashing an entire party to their deaths inside the world's most famous haunted house, Amityville, Damballa did not accept Chucky's sacrifice. The doll still didn't lose hope and made his way into the White House, where he killed more than 6 people in order to complete the ritual. But even after all that, Damballa never heard his call, leaving Chucky to wither and die in his plastic body. Without Damballa fueling his powers, Chucky could not swap bodies or transfer his soul anywhere else, which meant he had no way out but to simply wait for his impending death. Don Mancini did not want to incorporate voodoo in the first film. Many people aren't aware of the fact that in the early stages of creating the first Child's Play film, Don Mancini envisioned Chucky as a representation of the boy's subconscious desires, somewhat like a supernatural manifestation of his id. The initial screenplay concept included the idea of good guy dolls having synthetic blood, which would become a crucial element in a blood-pact ritual that would animate the toy. But the other makers of the film felt that there were certain elements missing from the plot, even if the concept of the story was great. The main villain needed a deeper backstory, or some malevolent force that would help the character reach its most malicious potential as a doll with the soul of a serial killer stuck inside. So that's how the concept of voodoo was introduced in the plot. And well, let's just say that because of Damballa, Chucky's body-switching antics has been a cornerstone of the franchise ever since. But Mancini has admitted to having mixed feelings about it. He always had reservations about incorporating voodoo in the mix, given how deep the mythological aspect is. But given how versatile the concept of voodoo has proved to be within the franchise, he's made sure it turns into something impossible for fans to ignore, be it for the sake of humor, practicality, or mythology. Damballa's existence within the franchise so far has served as a convenient tool to introduce supernatural elements in a straightforward manner right from the beginning, while allowing Chucky's character to grow alongside others. But I think that Chucky dying and turning into a ghost because Damballa is not picking up his call is not just some coincidence. Maybe the human characters of the show will finally use Chucky's weapon against him and call for Damballa to help them yeet Charles Lee Ray's ghost into the depths of hell. Plus, this would also give us the opportunity to realize that John Bishop was right all along, as it will be proved that the grace of Damballa cannot be misused to propagate heresy. So, it's finally time for Damballa to appear and take Chucky's serial killer ghost with him in an ultimate showdown. I think that's the campiest end we could ever get to this horror franchise. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment box below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.